Hello and welcome to a new video, and today I'm going to be reviewing Pokken Tournament for the Wii U, like I said, quite a while ago now, but it's finally here. Pokken Tournament is Nintendo's latest foray into the world of getting other development studios to make spin-off games featuring their characters. These typically feature Nintendo's classic characters mixed with the gameplay of the signature series of said developer, such as Hyrule Warriors, which took the colourful cast of Zelda characters and plopped them into a Dynasty Warriors game. Or it can sometimes result in something more similar to the upcoming Tokyo Mirage Sessions Sharp FE, which decided to make a crossover between two franchises, being Fire Emblem and Shin Megami Tensei in this case, and just decided to make a Persona game instead. Pokken Tournament takes a slightly different approach, however. The game maintains Pokemon's characters and general atmosphere, sort of, but I'll get back to that, while using a completely different and new fighting style than we've come to expect from the classic Tekken games. And to be honest, the game is all the better for it. It's far more fast-paced, and honestly I prefer them to the more deliberate bouts signature to Heihachi and Co.'s Tekken games. Pokken's fights take place in two phases. There is a field phase. The field phase's battles are somewhat akin to the open battles indicative of the Pokemon anime, and the duel phase is more similar to Street Fighter in terms of the Pokemon's movement capabilities. This constant switching between a 3D and 2D plane is a little bit jarring at first, but after a few fights it becomes natural. The main theme which permeates Pokemon's mechanics is that while, like any fighting game, one can jump and mash buttons as fast as your fingers can manage and just get along fine against weaker opponents, Pokken in particular has a particularly high skill ceiling. The mechanics are incredibly deep. The fighting is divided into rounds which consist of frantic duel phases and the brief respite provided by the field phases. Mastering the phase shifting mechanic is key to gaining advantage in this game. Phase shifts occur off the back of any sort of combo, so naturally this will give the momentum when entering a duel phase to the one who triggered it. After one player sustains a certain amount of damage, however, the battle shifts back to the field phase. This allows players who have become entangled
in an opponent's dastardly combo to get back in the game. One's opportunity, however, to come back in is fleeting. Therein lies a point of concern with the game's design, though. It is possible to lock players into unbreakable combos, and if the switch back to field phase is not capitalized on, it allows skilled players to steamroll their opponents with little opposition. This will presumably be very difficult for new players in the future who want to jump into the already established community. For this reason, I recommend that new players complete the story mode and the tutorial, which is rather in depth by the way, in order to make sure that you are adequately equipped to deal with these higher level players. Even then it will still take practice, but at least it will be a slightly more enjoyable challenge to overcome. The layers of strategy go far deeper than that though, and they draw inspiration from the main series Pokemon games. The signature rock, paper, scissors aspect that is so central to the main series of Pokemon games is referenced through the game's attack triangle. Counterattacks obviously beat normal attacks, grabs beat counterattacks, and normal attacks beat grabs, even though technically counterattacks should be situational and therefore beat everything. But since we're discussing a game about animals with extraordinary elemental abilities, I think realism can be temporarily thrown out the window. This mentality, though, was not adopted by Namco's graphical designers, as the art style of the game is the most realistic depiction that has ever been seen of the eponymous pocket monsters. Everything from Lucario's fur to the buildings in the background look great, and the HD visuals really pop. This game is most certainly one of the best looking on the Wii U. The amiibo functionality in the game is there, but it's predictably bare bones. It supports all the amiibo in existence, but they just unlock randomly selected gear that could be bought anyway in the My Town portion of the game. There is a Mewtwo amiibo card included in the game, however all it does is allow you to unlock Mewtwo without completing the story mode. The bright side is it's a decent new addition to my pathetically small amiibo collection. Getting back to My Town though, it is a place where you can customize your trainer. The customization is in depth and certainly worth your hard-earned Pokédollars. The online is good as well. I did have one rather choppy match, but the rest of them were smooth as butter. It is unfortunately hampered by an antiquated friend-finding system though. While Nintendo may have ditched friend codes for a more modern friend system in, say, like Mario Kart 8 or Splatoon or many other Wii U games, Namco must think there is still merit in this antiquated system. While you can pair up with a stranger like any other online game, to pair up with a friend you must agree on a password, say the word duck for example, and then both type the word into the game. Providing the password is not being used by another party at the time, you will be paired up with each other. The benefit of this is that conceivably someone like me could put up a time and a password in this very video, and then one of you could type it into the game if you had it and go there at that time, and then we could link up and play, as opposed to having to exchange Nintendo Network IDs and go through a potentially huge palaver with friend requests. While it's a nice feature, I don't think it particularly adds that much to the game that it warranted leaving the more modern system out, and in an ideal world we would have both, but I guess the world ain't perfect.
The last thing that I want to mention is the story mode. It is fun to learn the ropes and the difficulty curve is gradual and quite fair, but it does have some glaring flaws. The first is that the plot is paper thin. While the plots of the main series Pokemon games were always simple, they at least occasionally had a twist that you may not have seen coming, like, spoilers, Blue being the champion, or they may have had a theme, such as in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. They depict the parent letting their child go for the first time, which is actually a quite moving moment. Or in Black and White, in which they ironically discuss the grey morality of the Pokemon universe. The story is bland beyond belief, which is not helped by bits of clumsily translated dialogue that can be just interpreted in all sorts of wrong ways. The only enjoyment you will receive from the occasional exchanges of dialogue will be from laughing at the literal worst voice acting that you've ever let your ears play host to. Just listen.
Grab an opponent! You can now Still too early to use your synergy burst! Time to pick a support set! If you find yourself in a slump, try jumping back into the tutorial or some free training.
One gets the feeling that they just got the translators from localization team into the recording booth and they told them to read it through once. Then they hit record while they were doing so and just said, yep, that's fine. If you do find this unbearable though, you have the option to switch to the Japanese voice track, which is effortlessly superior. So that was Pokken Tournament. Story, characters, absolutely bland as heck, but the game itself was really fun, and I think that it actually has quite a lot of potential for maybe a competitive scene. If you're looking for any sort of engaging story or soundtrack, you won't find it here, but if you want a game that's just a fighting game that you can really dig your teeth into and learn all the intricacies of, and there's a lot of strategy and everything, a lot of real-time strategy, then this is certainly a game you should look into. So, thank you for watching. Please comment below about any other games you want me to review or what you think of Pokken Tournament. Please like if you liked the video, and if you have not already, please subscribe.